What's going on, great people in the world? It's your guy, Nicholas Wilcox, alongside me, my co-host, Johnny Main. Johnny, say what's up to the great people.
What it do? What it do? Good world. Week 5 coming right at your grill here this Sunday morning / afternoon. Actually, the morning because we already got your boys. I'd say playing a football game, but they're doing something over there across the pond.
Something. The only good news is that the game is 10-0 right now. Vikings. So that's all I'll say. Everything else in between, live line is plus 12.5 for the Jets if you want to take that. But the Vikings driving into Jets territory probably would stay away. Aaron Jones is questionable to return, apparently. He has I know, right? Questionable return with a hip injury, so hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about that later. But yeah.
You know what's funny when you say that, actually? My whole thing with him has always been I don't trust Aaron Jones against good teams, and here he is getting hurt against the Jets.
The way they were using him early on was a little weird. They kept on using him in between the tackles and stuff. He was taking some hard hits. So
yeah.
But anyhow, welcome people to the Week 5 Fantasy Football Show, where we're talking picks, bets, DFS, props, and start sits for your season long. We're going to get right into it because we're not going to have too much time to waste. Any questions in the chat, feel free to drop them and we'll get to them at an appropriate time. We want to make sure we get through all the games, get you all the information and knowledge, and we'll be taking your questions in between. So without further ado, we're going to go into the first game. We're going to start really heavy. We're going to go right into the Buffalo Bills matchup with the Texans. Bills are a slight favorite going into Houston. Each team both 3-1. Bills coming off a loss. I wouldn't say stunning loss, but a loss in which that was pretty bad for them on the road going into Baltimore on Sunday night. Now they get a match going against Houston on the road. Over and right now it's 47.5. Game starts at 1 p.m. So, Johnny, what are your first initial thoughts overall in this game, and what can we see from all things when it comes to players that you like in terms of DFS contests, in terms of pick'ems? Like, what do you see from this?
Well, first thing is the Bills didn't get beat. They got smacked and whooped pretty bad. Pretty bad on Sunday night, which is one of the reasons why I like the Bills in this game as a bounce back game. The Texans are 3-1. They're at home. They haven't looked as good as we thought they would look all year long. I know last year, obviously, they ended the year on a really high note. Obviously, they're still 3-1. But for me, I like Josh Allen a lot today, just from a DFS perspective. He's not garnering a lot of ownership. He is the highest priced QB on DraftKings today. But even with that being said, I think this is a place for him where it's a get right place. And him coming in at single digit ownership. Not too many times you're going to catch Josh Allen with single digit ownership on a slate like this right here. On the Texan side of things, obviously you have the Stephon Diggs revenge narrative, but in between all that, you have Nico Collins, the superstar, showing up and showing out big today. And then they get Tank Dell back also as well. The Houston Texans do. So I like the Bills today. I like them with the 1.5. Just because, like I said, I just think I don't know if the Texans are hitting their stride as of yet. And from the DFS side of things, and even from a season-long side, like a couple of options here. Dalton Kincaid starting to come along now, finally. No Khalil Shakir today, so I think, Keon Coleman is a viable option in fantasy today. For you Curtis Samuel lovers, you can do that. But a guy that I think a lot of people won't play, but he will definitely see some snaps as he's already seen some. Matt Collins. That's a guy definitely, if you're just looking to throw a dart or, you're trying to jam a bunch of studs into your lineup, that's another place you can get to from a DFS side of things.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, like Dalton Kincaid, someone that comes to mind as well, 5,300 DK. Like, without Shakir, who else should be getting heavily targeted? Like, we talk about Keon Coleman. Like, does Curtis Samuel all of a sudden reveal himself in this game? There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to outside James Cook in this Bills lineup. So That being said, I mean, look, both of these defenses can easily, give up substantial points as well. Like, so we could easily see some type of shootout. I kind of like the over in this game. CJ Stroud, we all know, plays a little bit better at home than he does on the road. Um, Obviously, dome matchup. Like, I guess probably like the over in this matchup. As far as like sides go, I'm gonna take the Texans because I think that not having Shakira as your safety blanket is gonna hurt Josh Allen a little bit. I do like it from a DFS perspective, 7.7 on DK, like you said. Um, but yeah, like again, I have a hard time. Like we all know the weapons for Houston is gonna be Nico, Diggs. You know what I'm saying? Tate Dell is expected to play this game. Like I know no Joe Mixon, but it's like Houston's still gonna look to run the ball against Buffalo. Buffalo not doing well against the run as well. Especially after they got shellacked by the Ravens.
I was about to say it was just Derrick Henry. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm gonna take
yeah.
Houston. I'm gonna take Houston as a straight money line bet. I'm gonna take the over in the game. Yeah, look out for if you have season long Nico Collins, you're starting him. But he gets Christian Benford today, and Benford's been locked down against receivers. He's only allowed 5 catches, 27 yards in a year. Whenever someone's thrown his way. So that's definitely something to watch out for, especially for DFS. Like, so I would probably tell you if you're picking between Nico and Diggs, I'd rather definitely play Diggs, especially the revenge game upcoming as well. So he obviously makes my prop shop plays as well. I'm taking both the over 4.5 for catches and over for the 54.5 for receiving yards. Like, in terms of just the matchup alone, like, Diggs is going to be playing against slot corner Cam Lewis, who's allowed third most yards in the slot overall in the year, according to Pro Football Focus. 113 passer rating allowed in the slot. Wow. So I love the not only love the bets, but I love the matchup. Give me Diggs and DFS as well, 6,600. I know it's a little steeper price tag to pay versus some other receivers probably in the range, but I definitely like Stephon Diggs to at least give you at least 6 or 7 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, potentially. But that's what I got for that game. You have anything else to say, Johnny, in terms of Bills?
No, the last thing I'd say to throw out there, man, is the Texans just as a whole, not allowing a lot of yards passing, but they are giving up a lot of passing touchdowns, which again is just another reason why I like Josh Allen today, just from a passing touchdown perspective, and obviously what he's going to give you on the ground. And I agree with you. I think this one hits the over as well, man.
Sounds great. Moving on to a crap alert game. We got Miami going into New England. Both these teams are 1-3 on the season. Over under is a gross 36.5. I think I saw 35.5 on some books.
Yeah.
But to diagnose this pretty quickly, Division AFC games, in terms of no Tua obviously, so it just dampers everything more. We got potential Stevenson not at least starting the game. So that's a situation just to monitor in general. Like if you have Stevenson, which I do in like one of my leagues, like it's not great. But in terms of the game, like I don't know who you trust in this matchup alone. It's just a stay away for me on all purposes. Because Miami just with Tyler Huntley, like if you're in a desperate situation, especially for Superflex, like Tyler Huntley is not a bad option. Just due to because he runs the football. He had over 50 yards rushing against Tennessee this past week. So again, like this is just a stay away for me. Like if you have HN like I do, you're just starting him in hopes that they get him the ball in space. Like they just haven't for whatever reason. Tyreek Hill was looking a little bit better, but it's still a way downgrade. Just like with him and Waddle. Just big time downgrades all over the place in this game, in this whole matchup. And on the Patriots side, like maybe Jalen Polk comes in and does a little bit here and there, maybe for New England, get them jump started.
My God.
Potentially, like I like that. Hunter Henry, like I don't know. It's just there's defenses are easily startable in this matchup because obviously look at the over under. And the only way I see this getting over really is just like a couple of broken plays and maybe a defensive touchdown here or there. But Johnny, what are you saying about this game overall?
Pretty similar thought process, man. This is a defense alert for me, for DFS and even for season long. I think these are both defenses you can play and probably get a positive return on these both defenses here. Is there's not going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Devon Achane, obviously, man, your guy. Tough sledding right now. I
Sure.
think, however, today the Patriots have been giving it up a little bit in the passing game as far as on the reception side to running back. So I think there's a possibility for him. So obviously, hey man, you're playing in a GPP. Obviously, Devon Achane is a great dart throw. If you haven't season long, you have to play him, no question. And then on the other side of things, man, when you look at the Miami Dolphins have been vulnerable to the run game. So whether it is Ramondre Stevenson or whether it's Antonio Gibson today, you may be able to get some positive production for them. Obviously, we have buys right now for season long, so there are probably some people that are having to play Antonio Gibson or obviously Ramondre Stevenson because you spent the draft capital on him. So I think there's that. Kendrick Bourne is coming back today, I do believe. So I think that kind of muddies the water a little bit more in the receiving room for the Patriots. But overall, this is definitely a stay away game for me all the way across the board. There's not a lot going on here. So give me the defenses and in a GPP. Give me a sprinkle of Antonio Gibson and maybe Ramondre Stevenson, and I'll stay away from everything else.
Sounds good. Both of these teams are 32nd, Miami, 31st, New England, in points scored so far in the year. Stay away game. It's just like, I don't, for a DFS perspective, like you said, like it's probably where I would go. But even then, it's like you're going to have to touch this game in DFS. We got a question from Ryan real quick for a standard format. He's got Dattavian Wicks, James Conner, Devon Achane. These are all tough in a way. I'm just going to play Wicks because hoping that he just comes back nicely from the game he had before. But, I mean, James Conner, but it's just he just doesn't get enough, catches out the backfield enough for me for a standard format to get you more yards. And then touchdown perspective, it looks like Wicks still is like right now in this moment in time with all the information that we have, like still looks like to be the benefit to score a touchdown here. But Johnny, what do you say to this question?
Yeah, man. HN, like I said, man, you got to hope and wish and pray that happens. Connor, I just don't think that the game script is going to fit him. They're playing, obviously, the 49ers, which we'll get to that game a little bit later on. And then, Dontavian Wicks, he's going to come in today being, 1A or 1B, depending on how you look at it with the Green Bay Packers in a game where they're heavily favored. No Romeo Doubs, obviously no Christian Watson. So he's going to have the opportunity to see the football a lot. So give me Dontavian Wicks as a starter in your flex today, Ryan.
Makes complete sense. Moving on to the another great game overall in terms of teams that we're keeping our eyes on. The Ravens and the Bengals, right? Excuse me. So we got Ravens are a -2.5 favorite going into Cincinnati. Take a nice sip. Ravens are 2-2 on the year. Bengals are 1-3. The over right now is 40.5. So another high total on this slate of games overall for the early and afternoon windows. I believe they're the third highest over/under on the slate entirely. So I would say that the Ravens are going to come in and cover. They've done it already this season when they've been a favorite, and then they're going on the road to Cincinnati division game. The over/under is just it somewhat just scares me a little bit, only because like these games in which we always see 45 plus or more points, just so far this season just haven't been clearing enough, in my opinion. But in terms of pieces, like Henry's 7,800, the Bengals, again, they are a nosebleed against the run. In terms of rush yards allowed, like they're bottom 5, bottom 7, I should say. They're 25th on the year with allowing rush yards to running backs on the year, just rush yards in general. Bengals, just again, like, do we trust them in this spot? You know what
No.
I'm saying? Like, do we really trust the Cincinnati Bengals in this spot in terms of, not only them covering but winning? I'm just not too sure. Like, I know they have the offense to potentially keep up, but again, it just comes down to the Bengals run defense versus the Baltimore run offense. Like, and if the Ravens are going to be controlling this game constantly on the run, the over under may not even hit. But Johnny, what do you say about this overall? I know you got some DFS takes. I do as well in this game as well. But go ahead and what do you say to this game so far?
Yeah, I think the over is fine on this game. We were talking about it a little bit before we hopped on, man. The last two games that these two teams played last year, both of them went over 50 points. And I think when you think about the Baltimore Ravens, obviously with the Derrick Henry factor now, they're obviously more dynamic in the run game than they've ever been for sure. You obviously seen what happened with Jaden Daniels. Really had like his coming out party against the Bengals. You got Lamar Jackson obviously on the other side for the Ravens and Derrick Henry. I'm okay with this over. And then like for me, like from a DFS side of things, one of the players like I'm having a really hard time getting away from is T. Higgins. From a price perspective and from an ownership perspective. And also, too, man, he's just been on the field. Like, since he's came back from his injury / holdout, he's actually been playing a lot of snaps on the field. And I believe even his first read target is actually even higher than Jamar Chase's right now. But I'm running a lot of game stacks or semi stacks here inside of this game, whether it's, Chase and Henry or Chase and Lamar or Burrow and Higgins and Chase. I'm getting some action here in this game because I do think you don't think of points like this when you talk about two AFC North teams, but these are definitely two teams that can put up points. And to the fact that you were making is like, what does this game script look like? Well, you want to keep Joe Burrow and the Bengals off the field. So how do you do that? You run the football. But the other dynamic of that is you have Derrick Henry who can take it to the house at any point in time, which then brings Joe Burrow back on the field. So I think this is just one of those games that I think is being slightly overlooked from a DFS perspective. So for me, and then just like the game straight up, I think the Baltimore Ravens are definitely a better team. Looks like they're starting to get things back on track, not a knee-jerk reaction. I think we all had high expectations for them this year coming into the season, and they had a couple of tough games to start off. But I think when you've seen what happened last week against the Buffalo Bills defense, now you got the Cincinnati Bengals, I think we see a similar result. So give me the Ravens and the points and give me the over and give me a lot of this here in the DFS side of the world. Don't forget about Justice Hill, too, for the Ravens if this game does become a mild shootout in some capacity.
Really shocked you're not talking about anything Jamar Chase, though. I know Higgins.
I mentioned it, man, but he's one of the highest priced receivers, and like I said, his first read rate right now is second to T. Higgins. So Burrow is actually looking at T. Higgins first more than he's looking at Chase. I'm playing Chase, but T. Higgins is the guy that I have a lot more of just from a price perspective, and obviously the data is saying, hey, man, like this could be a breakout game for T. Higgins.
Nah, I agree with that. I just think we all know Jamar Chase has all it takes one mentality.
yeah. You see that play last week, man? That was a killer.
All it takes is one mentality. And he gets Nate Wiggins this week, and look, the rookie has been getting torched. 75% of his targets, in terms of when they target him, he's allowed 111 passer rating. So
Joe Burrow then, and Joe Burrow's under own, bro. He's under own. He's cheap, man. I have a lot of different pieces of this game here, so I'm with you, man. Like I like it.
Best when it comes to throwing the football in terms of passing yards. Like he's definitely up there. In terms of definitely being underlooked. Price tag right now for Burrow, what 6,800, something like that, right? 6,200, no 6,400 on DraftKings. So like that could be somewhere where you can just again a spot that's a little bit more contrarian if you think the Bengals are gonna have to keep on throwing the football, which we most likely believe. Definitely curious for how the Chase that people are gonna get all over the Chase Brown potentially this week. Because obviously the look, he came out and had touchdowns last week out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know, right?
People are looking for value as well. Like on DraftKings in particular, like Javonte Williams, maybe. You talked about your boy Gibson already. Like those are other spots for value. Like, but in terms of like being somewhat a little bit off the map, like Chase Brown is 5,600. Like, how is Trey Sermon 5,700 and Chase Brown is 5,600?
I don't know, man.
And
I
I'm
don't
lost
know.
6,000, so it's
Yeah.
So I mean, I might be a little value there for everybody, but gonna move on to a game that's I wouldn't say it's crap, but it's gonna be a game full
It's
of
in the same
events.
toilet.
It stinks. It's not a turd.
Oh.
It stinks. Talk about the Panthers and the Bears. Panthers 1-3 on the year. Bears 2-2 on the year. Being at home, over under right now is 41.5. Carolina is a plus 3.5 underdog on the road. Johnny, what do you say about this game overall when it comes to the Panthers and the Bears?
I mean, this is a game here. I think I like I like the Carolina Panthers defense in this game because I just think we're still kind of waiting for Caleb Williams to give us something like Jaden Daniels has given us from a fantasy output, and we haven't got that yet from him. So that's one piece of it. DeAndre Swift finally heard all the naysayers and came out and started balling last week for sure. So for me, man, like a guy I like, I think that is pretty underrated. Obviously, Chuba Hubba, he's still being overlooked. Xavier Legette is another guy, man. Like he's starting to obviously getting run now with the Adam Thielen injury. So that's another place you can look at. And then Deontay Johnson, I think it goes without saying, right? Like we're at a place with him where he's now an every week starter. His production is not matching his price on the DFS side of the world. So that's a player that like obviously is going to get targets and make things happen. I think this is a slow going game. The Panthers have been beaten up in the run game for sure. So I do think that there is a possibility for Chuba Hubba to have a big game. Chuba Hubba to have a big game today. So that's a player. For whatever reason, I just haven't been able to get to a lot of it. Might be a nice pivot off of around the Sermon area. I believe you were talking about just a minute ago from a DFS side of things. But if you ask me who am I taking in this game, I'm probably going to take the Carolina Panthers. And the reason why I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers is, like I said, the Bears defensively are a really good football team, but they are still having problems on the offensive side of the ball. And the Carolina Panthers are figuring it out on the offensive side of the ball. And I think if you ask me if you would have asked me this before the season started, who would you rather have playing quarterback, Andy Dalton or Caleb Williams? Obviously, I would have said Caleb Williams, but looks like Andy Dalton is the way to go. So I would take the Panthers in the 3.5, and I'm also going to take the Panthers on the money line. I think this is a game that probably goes under just from the Bears side of things on what they're incapable of doing offensively on top of the Bears defensively. But I do think that the Panthers find a way to put more points on the board than the Bears at the end of the day, man.
Yeah, I'm going right to what you're talking about. Where is he? Hold on.
Chuba Hubbard. Yeah. Back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yeah.
21
over
fantasy
62
points.
Over 6.5 rush yards for the props overall. I got him on. Look, Bears have allowed 4.6 yards per carry against running back so far this season. Hubbard, I think, easily gets that. He also, since Dalton has been quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, he's been targeted at least 4 times per contest. So definitely love Chuba Hubbard in both DFS and props perspective. In terms of this game, like, it's just one of those games where I'm not going to take a side. I think the points for 3.5 for Panthers are pretty fair, so I would probably take that spot. I think Caleb Williams has shown that he can still do things against a mediocre defenses, like, against the Colts that he did, previously. And so I'm not, really banking on the Bears to win the game per se, but I'm not exactly expecting Carolina to come out and just just win outright. So I don't know. I'll just take Carolina's points, 3.5. Dare I say the over in this matchup?
Who?
Dare I say the over?
You getting freaky.
DJ Moore comes into play in this as well. So 6,600 on DFS. he overall, like, in terms of revenge matchups, like, he would be the one to probably play as well. It's just he's again playing against Carolina. Like, if Caleb Williams gonna have anything to say about winning this game, they'll have to go through DJ Moore. Like, they have to get on the same page, right? Like,
They have to at some point. Right?
At some point they're gonna have to get on the same page. I know 6,600, a little bit of a hefty price tag, and we haven't seen a DJ Moore breakout game just yet. We've always seen about, at the most last week was a pretty decent one, 15 DFS points last week. But we only haven't seen a 20-something plus performance. I think this is the matchup that we can see that in terms of, DJ Moore coming out and be like, listen, like, these idiots traded me. Let's go get them type of thing. So that's where I'm at this game. But moving on to it, a game that's gotten a little bit more interesting as the week has gone on. That's the Colts and the Jags.
This is my game.
Divisional game, AFC South. Colts 2-2, Jags 0-4 on the season, still trying to get their first win of the year. Over under 46.5. That line may have moved a point, so I'll double check that later. But in terms of this matchup, we got Joe Flacco playing quarterback now versus Anthony Richardson. It's not official yet, but everything's pointing towards Flacco starting this game because Richardson's still dealing with the hip pointer injury that he's been questionable with all week, but on Saturday night got dropped to doubtful. So we're still looking for information to make that certain. But I do believe Flacco is going to be playing this game. Colts are a 3.5 underdog on the road to the Jags. So, Johnny, what do you say about this game so far?
This is my favorite stat game of the week. Here is the Colts and Jags. Jags just been giving it up, man. Giving it up over the last 2 weeks with CJ Stroud and Josh Allen, obviously doing damage, over 600 yards with them. Michael Pittman had a breakout game last week against my Steelers. Don't want to talk about it too much because it makes me physically ill just to talk about it. Josh Downs, another guy, obviously, to be into consideration. Now we have Joe Flacco playing quarterback now, right? Like, the receivers are back in play. So I think those are some names that for sure. Obviously, Trey Sermon, more likely than not, one of the chalkier plays of the week. But obviously, they want to run the football. And this Colts team is going to look, obviously, like, dramatically different. I don't want to say the scheme's going to be different, but the concept has to be different. It has to be because Flacco and Anthony Richardson are two different quarterbacks. Joe Flacco is old enough to be Anthony Richardson's dad, pretty much, is what he said. And then you got the Jaguars.
Sideline.
Then you got the Jaguars, right? And for me, like, the Jaguars are a wounded team. They're 0-4. This has been a get-right team statistically for everybody as far as the Colts go. It was a get-right game for Justin Fields last week, and obviously we talked about the previous two quarterbacks. So, like, I really am intrigued by Trevor Lawrence at the QB spot, obviously. And then the pass catchers for the Jags. Christian Kirk kind of starting to turn the curve right now as far as production. Brian Thomas, who is a guy that later on in the summer started to pick up a lot more steam. And, like, we can see why now, as he looks like he is now, like, the lead receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then Brenton Strange at tight end. We know what a wasteland tight end is. Brenton Strange gives you the ability to kind of pay down in a game that I think has the potential to have quite a few points on the board. One place I almost got tricked into going to Travis Etienne. But actually the Colts over the last 2 weeks have actually stiffened up a little bit in the run game. So I actually stayed away from Travis Etienne. But I like the Jaguars in this game, man. I think they, give me the Jags and the points here in this game right here. I just think they're a wounded team. And, when you're a desperate team, you're going to get, team's best efforts. However, Joe Flacco over the last, 6-7 games, he's been, a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's looked really good and he's put up big production. So I would absolutely not be shocked to see this game go over the under. The only thing I am a little bit worried about, I was just kind of checking. Looks like there might be a little bit of rain that comes in around 2 p.m.-ish. So I'm just hoping those are just like light showers and nothing, no kind of torrential downpours that would offset this. So maybe do look a little bit more into the weather to make sure. But I like this whole game setup. I like the players. Everybody's at a relatively cheap cost from a DFS side of things.
Yeah, you're right about the rain. That could change some things for me now.
Yeah, well, but like, hey,
not
man, it's
too much, but
but it's just in that moment right there. It's at 2:00, so maybe the game gets started. No rain, maybe rain towards halftime. Come back out, we good. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not a weatherman, but I do see that there is rain there. You can paint a picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you Kool-Aid man now? Oh yeah. Kool-Aid man over here. We're gonna call you the Kool-Aid man. All right.
Oh man.
We'll look into the. I'm gonna look into the Jacksonville game a little bit more now because if the rain's gonna come, then like we should be firing up some ETN, rush yards at the very least. But in terms of that, we'll get to that in a little bit. But in terms of this game, like if all things considered, I mean, I'm with you, but the Jags and playing desperate, they played a really good football game against Houston last week. Just again, Houston just scathed away with the victory. But something's telling me still go with the Colts. It's something that again, like I just think the Colts, when it comes to switching quarterbacks, and we all know how like Anthony Richardson was like just looking as a passer, was looking like Deshaun Watson out there. You know what I'm saying? Just like bad QBR ratings, you know what I'm saying? And just missing throws constantly. Like, it just wasn't exactly working. And then boom, he gets hurt on a run play, that kicks him out. Questionable. He turns for one game. They run him again and he gets hurt again. So it's like, I don't know what the heck that was, really, honestly. It's something that, kind of worries me for Richardson's outlook the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Especially if Flacco comes out and win this game, which I think they will. I'm going to take the Colts in this game to win. I just think we have stabilization of Joe Flacco there, healthy veteran, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, when I say healthy, it's not actual his health, but actually like a guy that, has been there, done that before, has seen all the ups and downs, and really is just a guy that will keep things steady as things are getting rocked in terms of maybe your offensive line up, and that's great. Like, and in terms from a target share from other guys, like I like Michael Pittman. I like the over 60.5. Look, I've said it before, Pittman's not my favorite guy, but things have changed because before the season starting and drafting Pittman and stuff like that, I was staying away from him because we knew Anthony Richardson was, we still didn't know what type of passer he definitely was. And we knew that, like, if anything, it was going to be like just constant deep shots down the field and not enough short and intermediate stuff. With Flacco, with Flacco, he's going to be able to produce, as a number one threat because he loves targeting those, dating back to when he was with Garrett Wilson. In terms of that goes. Since 2022, Garrett Wilson, when he averaged 77 yards in 5 games with him. Amari Cooper, like the previous year, 121 average yards in 4 games with Amari Cooper. And then last game, Pittman, over 113 receiving yards last week. So Flacco loves targeting number one options. So that's Pittman. That's easily that. Watch out for Josh Downs as well. He didn't make my prop list, but he's definitely someone that can very easily get there in terms of receiving yards. Because now, again, both of those guys, I didn't draft enough when it comes to best ball and actually like, season-long stuff. But because, again, like we have Flacco, who's now a stabilizing thrower of the football, both these now guys get easy upgrades in terms of production. And guys that you can potentially even start season-long wise for sure. So Pittman's not a question now. And now he's up to 65.5 receiving yards on FanDuel. Josh Downs 48.5. So I would take both of those guys, especially if the rain doesn't hold up. But even with the rain, I think I still would take Pittman here easily in terms of props. Anything else to say about this game, John?
Rain, rain, stay away. Come again another day.
Yeah, preferably tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Browns at Commanders. Browns 1-3, 1-3 on the year. They're +3. Underdog going into Washington, who Washington's playing their best football right now. I didn't expect the Commanders to be 3-1 at this time of the year, but I did expect them to at least be a decent team. There was just too much flack coming towards when it comes to what's the guy's offensive coordinator's name? Jesus.
For the Browns?
No, for Washington.
Cliff Kingsbury.
There you go. I knew
yeah.
for some reason this didn't come to my brain right away.
Right.
In terms of his offense, like I know people are taking a crap on him in terms of like how he is and how horizontal this and that. But honestly, like look, Jaden Daniels, I said it before the season started, rookie of the year candidate here. Hello, and so far he's looked spectacular. Like like the word is spectacular. In terms of how he's just looked overall. Washington at home, like they get to -3. But Daniels, people are talking about early MVP. Let's not go there. Let's not go all the way there just yet. We're not there just yet. Give me like 3 more games, and then we could see. But come on, people hyping up MVP. Come on. But in terms of how they've won, like look, like 91% of his passes in wins against the Bengals at least, and then 87% against the Cardinals last week. But in terms of completion percentage, it's crazy, for a rookie. Yeah. Especially when people are doubting how accurate his arm could be coming out of the LSU system and playing with neighbors and freaking playing with
Brian Thomas.
I almost said the wrong rookie receiver name. Brian Thomas. But in terms of that, Browns getting 3 on the road. I don't know. Everyone knows how I feel about Deshaun Watson. Everybody knows, especially been watching this. Everybody has
double down on that. I'll double down.
Watson. So that's where I stand. But Johnny, where are you at in this game?
Man, a couple things. Man, you're talking about MVP candidate for Jaden Daniels. I think he's got to have a signature win before we even start really talking about that. And I think like where we're at, we might have said Cincinnati. We might have thought that was one, but it's looking more like Cincinnati is not. That's not a signature win because they look like a subpar team with a bunch of superstars. In Arizona, it looks like they're still kind of in transition. So I love seeing it, man. I think, obviously he's been doing a great job. I don't want to say that I'm completely shocked about Jaden Daniels and what he's been doing. I'm not. I think like it's been set up for him to some of the games have been set up for him to be successful against some of these defenses. Not to take anything away from him at all, because I still think obviously you have to respect him as a dual threat. But if you just kind of, and he's going to be a junk time guy too, garbage time or whatnot. But anyways, with all that being said, the Commanders are still a team that when you look at it, almost like the Colts, they're a team that it's a get right spot. I'm not saying that I'm playing Deshaun Watson this week, but I am playing Amari Cooper. And I'm playing a lot of them because I think this could absolutely be a place where he could get back on track. Still some questions about the running back situation for the Commanders, so we don't know still what's going on quite yet between Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, who stole a bunch of my money last week, but that's another story for another day. So I think that's one of the things like for me, like I'm just thinking about is like, hey, like Amari Cooper looks like a solid play. I'm probably, I don't want to say I'm going to get slammed because it is what it is, but I like this game to me feels very, very trappy to me. And the reason why I say that is just because everybody's been telling the Commanders how well they've been playing and they played really great and this and that. And now all of a sudden you have the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have looked suspect realistically on the offensive side of the ball. But I think, defensively, it's a team that offers a little bit more resistance than, say, the Arizona Cardinals, than, say, the Cincinnati Bengals. So, and obviously you have the great the second best pass rusher in the NFL, Myles Garrett, there as well. So I think, I think this could be a really interesting spot. I'm not playing a lot of Jaden Daniels today. I've played him. I'm in a 20 max tournament. I may have played maybe 2 or 3. Played him in 2 or 3 lineups. A little bit of Terry McLaurin. Probably those two are stacking up. But I'm not playing a lot of the Commanders today, and that could absolutely come back to bite me for sure. But I am playing a lot of Amari Cooper. But I would say give me the points with the Browns, and then obviously, like, if I have to. I'm picking the Browns as an upset because every week in the NFL there's an upset, and I think this is a game that has potential upset written all over it. Here today with the Commanders and the Browns.
Yeah, I definitely like that for sure. And before I dive in, let's answer George Play's question because he's always a loyal fan of us.
My God.
He's for a standard format. He needs 2 receivers and a flex from the room that he has. So DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, BTJ, JSN, Keon Coleman, Downs, and Trey Sermon for standard.
So I think Trey Sermon, you gotta play Trey Sermon.
Do we?
Against the Jags, bro?
I know, man, but there's a talk about committee, you know what I'm saying, with Tyler Goodson, and I don't know how to feel. I know I'm starting Trey Sermon in a half-point PPR this league because, again, there's bye weeks and stuff like that, unfortunately. I'm not in love with starting with standard. Who do we definitely agree on?
Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Brian Thomas. JSN. Keon Coleman.
These are all tricky spots.
Keon Coleman, like, he's going to be the one, and Trey Sermon. So we're 5, so we need to get down to 3 on that. Or, yeah, DJ 2 wide receivers in a flex.
DJ Moore we're starting, right?
You're starting DJ Moore? I don't have a choice but to start him in one of my season longs. I have a choice. I have a choice.
Same thing we're talking about Amari Cooper. I have no choice. Like this.
Yeah.
I think those are 2 guys we agree.
So let's lock in. So let's say JSN for sure. I think we can agree on that.
The only reason why I have hesitation now is because Seattle is big-time favorite at home. Do we even need JSN this week? I know we.
It's just funny you say that because, like, all the time in these games, all the time when people say that, bro, like, they got to get there. Like, they got to get there. They got to get there. And I think, like, I'm playing a lot of DK Metcalf, but like in season long, DFS, but like. They got to get there. And if they got to get there, then like JSN probably is going to play a role in that. I mean, and these are tricky.
I know they will. I know it's still a standard format. So I'm trying to picture on what receivers should be getting touchdowns the most. And then out of this group, JSN's actually 4th. I would agree that Moore, Cooper, and BTJ should be the guys that we start. The other guys like
I can agree with Cooper. So let's go with Cooper. All right, so I can land on Cooper. I'm cool with that.
Yep, Moore. It's a revenge spot. Really? Okay.
I said, I'm playing him. I don't got no choice. But if I had all these other options, I personally would rank JSN higher than DJ Moore just because A, they got to get there. B, we know Gino's gonna throw on the ball. Like, he's gonna get there. Like, it's the same situation, you know. I will say this though, man. I do think give me Amari Cooper. I'm gonna start Trey Sermon, and then either give me JSN or Brian Thomas.
All right. Well, George. I don't think we agree, but
Amari Cooper for sure, bro. So let's just start there.
We both agree on Amari Cooper. The other 2 are a crapshoot. I'm going Moore. I'm going BTJ. I think Moore has the capability to have this revenge game spot. I think the game could easily go over because Carolina is, the previous game against Cincinnati, they went over as well. So I definitely like the game in the over perspective. I do like DJ Moore to potentially score that touchdown as well, which is more, again, it's touchdowns king of this format. And I like BTJ to score a touchdown in this format as well. Like, Colts have been getting burned by, receivers. They play a lot of zone defense when it comes to cover 3. So BTJ can just take one easily down the seam, technically, as well. So I just from a volume perspective, like JSN could easily be that. It's just, again, standard format versus PPR. So it's like JSN would easily be a PPR guy for me. But touchdown-wise, like, I don't know. I think the other three guys have a better chance to score a touchdown. To say about the Browns-Commanders game, for me, I got a couple of spots I like. So I don't like Watson, but I do like Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I do like Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, here we go.
Yards.
Here we go.
Because look,
Jeudy.
Look. The Washington the defense has still spewed a ton of passing yards. You can't not agree with that. In terms of just getting
Yeah.
They're being crispy burnt all year still. Like, it doesn't matter really the matchup. Like,
original recipe, extra crispy.
Careful, the Colonel might hear you.
Oh, shoot.
He might hear you. But in terms of receivers, like, you gotta love how Washington still bleeds, like receiving yards, especially to the slot. So Jerry Jeudy is someone I'm targeting, like maybe even for a DFS perspective too. Like, if I'm looking for some savings because he's 5,200 at DraftKings, like, so he's someone I'm just potentially thinking about because it's, again, Jerry Jeudy has been finding rhythm with Watson as well. We had the game in which he had 6 catches, 72 yards. He didn't score a touchdown, but it's very valuable for DraftKings perspective and for his price tag, 200. We're gonna need at least that and a little bit more to pay off his price tag. I think this is a matchup to do so. And with Amari Cooper, Amari Cooper, he's going to be the guy Watson's going to look for the most, especially deep shots down the field against this Washington pass defense, who, again, the secondary has been terrible all year. Bottom 5 when it comes to passing yards allowed this season. So, again, I like both of those guys. And also like Jaden Daniels, because if we think this game could easily shoot out, which I think we do, I think I like the over in this game for sure when it comes to the over-under. And right now it's 43.5. I definitely love the over. I know Cleveland's going to be a little more feistier on defense, but they, like you said, John, they haven't looked like the defense the last couple of seasons for the Browns of. And I think Jaden Daniels can find himself in a game where if Washington, again, is giving up points, he has a partner to keep up with. Deshaun Watson could be that guy today. I think Daniels could easily hit the over 200 passing yards, especially how the way he's been throwing the football. We love it. And comment section. Oh, George just thanking us. Oh, yeah, we appreciate you.
My God,
anytime,
man.
Anytime, my guy. Anytime. Appreciate you for always showing up to our show. We definitely appreciate it. Anything more for the Browns Commanders game?
Nah, I got nothing else, bro.
All right. Going to a crap game. Splat.
It's funny you say it. The original no-fly zone looks like it's coming back, man.
I don't know about that. But Denver's playing great defense. I'll tell you that much. But the Raiders have a spew of injuries. Their injury report is at least like 10, 11 players long. The only
I'm looking at it on my screen. I'm looking at it on my screen right now, and it's literally taking up my entire screen.
Tyler Badgey is the only guy out. He's on the IR, but everybody else is good for Denver. But yeah, no Adams, no Myers, no Crosby again. Like, man, list goes on and on a little bit for the Raiders. They're looking really beat up. So I like Denver. I like the points. Denver has just been playing good football enough to where, like, I'm comfortable taking them at this spot. I know Bo Nix hasn't really been like the wow QB of the rookie class so far, but he's been steady. And again, Sean Payton's going to keep on mixing up his packages and different guys coming on the scene on the field. That's just going to confuse the Raiders. That would confuse me. It's like one set I'm seeing freaking Greg Dortch. Next thing I know, I'm seeing Adam Troutman at tight end. Next thing I know, I'm seeing Josh Reynolds, and he's just got this I don't know. You would call it like a consistent tryout with certain weapons. I see it as.
No, Sean Payton is like, I know what the fantasy world is like at tight end, so guess what? I'm going to actually have a microcosm of that on my team, actually. So let's do that.
So in terms of this game, I do like Denver. I like the points. The over-under is definitely shaky. You probably wouldn't touch that. But what do you say, John, in terms of this game?
This is again calling all defenses. Again from a DFS
Denver.
side of things.
Denver.
There are a couple players, man. I actually on the DFS side of things that I am mildly interested in, just as pieces, not as stacks. I think Brock Bowers is a guy at tight end that I would be interested.
Breaking news: Aaron Jones out for the game with a hip injury.
All right, Ty Chandler, let's get busy. Already getting a preview.
All right, got a stash in a couple.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Let's get ready.
Holding tight on him.
Let's get ready. My man KOC, baby.
God.
What, man? Yo, he been cooking. I've been trying to tell y'all, man. Listen, there's some things I've been trying to tell y'all. Like I've been trying to tell y'all, man, about Sean Payton and this whole situation. That Sean Payton is still a good NFL coach, and he's proving that he's still a good NFL coach. I'm not a Sean Payton fan.
Oh, Sean Payton saying,
not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. We might have to go back and check the tapes on that. But like, no, there are a couple players that I do like from this game. Like I said, Brock Bowers is a guy that I'm interested in on the Raiders side of things. Trey Tucker is somebody that I'm also interested in as well. I think he just looks really, really explosive. He kind of caught my eye during the preseason. So from the Denver side, from the Las Vegas side of things, I do like him. When you go over to the Denver side, you talked about it a little bit earlier, man. Javonte Williams or Jaleel McLaughlin. One of those guys, if not both of those guys, I like his individual pieces. This is not a game I would stack, but I'm comfortable playing Javonte, especially on when I'm talking about these running backs, DraftKings specifically.
What if I tell you to take him from a prop side?
Who, Javonte?
Yeah, prop side.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I say do your thing, bro. I support you, Brody. I support you. When I let Javonte get my wallet, get your hands out my pocket, brother.
I just tell you to pick a line. What do you think his line is right now?
Oh man! Gosh, man! I'd play it safe, man. I would take Javonte for like 40 or 50 rushing yards, man. I'm not going to get anything. I'm not going to go
the line right now for him.
Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy. Not going to go crazy. But like again, man, like if this isn't the spot for him, then when is the spot? Right. And if the Raiders do get up at some point, Jaleel McLaughlin is somebody that he has looked explosive. They remind me of a mini version of what used to happen in Pittsburgh with Najee and Jalen Warren. One needs the other to do their thing. And Bo Nix, I've been saying it all year long, man. Like, it's not the situation, it's the talent, and I think he's going to continue to get better. And I think he's being grossly overlooked. He hasn't been playing lights out. But at the end of the day, we got to look at things through a football lens and not a fantasy lens. And from a football lens, he is leading his team, out there. Cortland Sutton, my guy, man. Like, I think this is a really good spot for him as well. So again, a place I'm cool with getting to in the later on in the day, just to be different and not have a lot of ownership. So give me those guys. And if I'm taking the game, obviously I'm taking the Broncos. I'm taking the under. Probably not going to mess with the points at all in any perspective, because I do think this one could end up potentially being a close one.
Makes sense. I'm just going to take the points in Denver. I just think they've proven us to at least be competent enough to win football games and to stay within games when they are even as an underdog. So taking them as a -2.5 at home, pretty much a 3. I'll just take it because, like you said, this could be a tight football game. This could be a game where Denver just does enough to keep a touchdown lead on it most times in this game, and then Raiders going to have to find a way to at least keep chains moving second half, which is kind of a little doubtful. But if that is the case, I do like Brock Bowers at over 44.5 receiving yards. They don't have no Adams. We have Patrick Surtain pretty much going to be locking up, Jacoby Myers. So it's pretty much the Trey Tucker show, and then Brock Bowers for the most part, like envisioning that in terms of that. And I think Brock Bowers as a tight end, especially as how uberly talented he is, they have to find him to get the football. In terms of how they'll stay in this game. So I think this over should easily hit, depending on how the pace goes. But I definitely like Brock Bowers over 44.5 receiving yards. Anything else before we go on to the next game, John?
Maybe next week for Alexander Madison and Jacoby Myers, but not this week.
Yeah, good call. I I'll agree with that. I'm looking at receiving yards. Madison over 14.5. I might touch later, maybe, but I wouldn't put it I'm not going to put it on the top show list.
No, they got to knock.
No,
they got to knock on the door. They can't get in.
Hello?
Y'all open?
Anybody home? Damn it!
Y'all open?
No, we're closed. Sidebar. I used to work retail, and we always used to complain about someone trying to come at the last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes before someone would try to come to the door and try to say they want to look at shoes or they want to look at this, and it's like, bro, you had all day. You had all fucking day.
And you want to show up at 8:55.
You want to show up at 8:55, 8:52, 8:57.
And ask questions and try on shit.
I locked the door at 8:57.
Oh, I can see that happen. I can see you doing that 100%. Huh?
What?
Hey,
I want Oh, no. I don't know what you're talking about.
What? Chuba Hubba?
Huh? Anyhow, side rant over. Gonna go on to the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Niners in San Fran. Cardinals coming in 1-3. They're plus 7.5 right now. The over is 48.5. Man, I see implied total for the Niners are 20.5. Man, I don't know. The Arizona Cardinals are a weird team. They came out. I thought after their first game against Buffalo, they'd at least be competent enough to keep themselves in football games. But ever since that game, I don't know. They just had Kyler Murray's been looking weird the last 2 weeks, especially. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I trust the Cardinals with the plus 7.5 right now on this spot going to San Fran, knowing how San Fran does at home, knowing how everybody's pretty much back besides CMC for the Niners. This is a tough spot for them to even cover the 7.5. I know it's a division game and all this hoopla. I just see a ton of people, a lot of people, public-wise, are taking the Cardinals plus 7.5. I just don't see it. I like the Niners. I've taken the points. But what do you say, Johnny, in terms of this game?
Man, I think there's a couple things for me. I think the Cardinals, you're right, they are a weird team. I think when they're on the road, they're definitely a completely different team. And even last week, going against the Commanders at home, I've always said this. I think, funny things happen out there in the desert when the Cardinals are at home. And this is also an NFC West division game. And it seems like the NFC West division games are always a lot. I don't know why, but it seems like they're always a lot weirder than any other division games. Always. The bad teams always make it close or either end up winning. But I think for the 49ers, I think right now, one of the things that's actually, this is the second week in a row for them where they have everybody on the same page. There's not these moving parts offensively, everybody's together, continuity's there. Brock Purdy's looked really well. I know there's been some concern about the offensive line as far as, pass protection and things like that. I think this is absolutely a get right place. Jordan Mason going to end up being one of the sweethearts. Hopefully we don't give him the kiss of death like we gave Rashee Rice last week. But Jordan Mason has looked really, really well. Going to end up being one of the fantasy sweethearts, fantasy darlings. If this happens, guys, I just won't talk about any other player like this ever again. I have Jordan Mason too. So, and I'm playing a lot of them this week in DFS. So if we all go, if you go down, I go down. But I think there's, like I said, man, I just like where the Niners are at right now for sure. One of the things that I do, however, find really interesting is that just the San Francisco 49ers and how we view them as a run defense and what happened 2 weeks ago with Kyron Williams. I don't say just completely X out James Conner all the way in the run game to kind of control the game the best way that they can. I agree that Kyler has looked a little bit off over the last 2 weeks. And generally, if the public is all going towards the Cardinals, that really makes me want to go towards the Niners with the points, which that's probably if I'm gonna pick this game, that's what I'm gonna do. And then from a DFS side of things, we were talking about it earlier. Ayuk, man, his price is still a little high, but his ownership is low. Eventually, man, it's got to happen. It's got to happen at some point in time, and it's just a matter of how much do you want to keep going back to the well? Obviously, in season longs, you got to play every 49er that you have. And then from a Cardinals perspective, Kyler, James. Oh, what you got?
Sorry. Anthony Richardson officially ruled out the oblique injury, hip injury, pointer injury. Also got that David Njoku starting for the Browns.
Oh, interesting. Okay. But yeah, like for the Cardinals, like obviously Marvin Harrison Jr., you obviously have to explore that option. Trey McBride, to quote from a quote on Friday, let me kick you in the ass and give you brain damage. Let me give you a concussion so you can break your rib. So I don't know how that happened. But yeah, man, like for me, like I said, if there's a Cardinal or Cardinals that I'm gonna play, Trey McBride makes my list, James Conner makes my list, Marvin Harrison does. And then past that, not so much. In the GPP, I might explore maybe a Greg Dortch or a Michael Wilson. But for the 49ers, Jordan Mason's going to be one of the chalkier plays at running back. He deserves to be in everybody's lineup. He's been scoring touchdowns every single week. So give me him. And final call, Niners straight up. The points, I will go the under on the points because I think the Niners are more than capable of throwing up over 30 plus points. And I do feel like they actually, you know what, I'm going to retract that because Trey McBride's playing. And I think if they get down, give me the over. I'll take the over. So I'm still taking the Niners straight up and give me the points.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give me the over.
40.5 is like,
yeah.
And then Niners projected for 20.5 of those. It's like I could see the Niners getting there to 30.
Yeah.
But I could easily see Arizona just going to 14.
They're a garbage time team, bro. Like they would get their own garbage points, man. They get their own garbage points.
And then do you start Kyler Murray this week? Unless you have better options at QB? Like so this is a question for me. I have Murray, I have your boy Fields. Who am I starting? Because
Justin Fields, no question.
That's what I'm on.
No question.
Because now no Patterson, no Warren. It's not official. I don't think Warren's out yet. But yeah, like I'm all over Fields right now. Started him last week too. And the Kyler Murray, it's like, yeah, like I could see Murray getting there a little bit more better. Like a 16, 17 point spot for season long in your DFS lineups, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
So
especially if you have a better option, right? Like if you have a better option, then yeah, obviously you want to play Justin Fields. Obviously you can't play Sam Darnold now because obviously this game's going on. But like if you had Sam Darnold, I would have played Sam Darnold in this matchup today over Kyler Murray, man, just simply because.
I mean, right now Darnold only 120 yards passing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But I still would have played him. I'm okay with saying that, man. Like, that was my take. That was my take, and I would have had him ranked higher than him because, like I say, man, my man KOC, you know what it's gonna be. And now with Aaron Jones being out now, like let's see what it looks like here moving forward. But enough about that, man, for sure on my side.
All right. But moving on to the next game. A game in which, like the Giants going on the road, Seattle. I'm having a little deja vu with this.
Oh, boy.
In terms of this overall, in terms of like Seattle being at home, they're a 3-1 team coming off the loss to Detroit. A very close game. Geno Smith threw over 375 passing yards. But Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns in that game. Over right now is 42.5. The Giants are a 7-point underdog. Now no Malik Neighbors as well, who had a target share of 30% for this team.
You are like, I say no more. Say no more.
Give me Seattle and the points. What do you say, John?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, there's not really like a whole lot to talk about, really, man, because the Seahawks are a better team. The Giants are now without their best player. So, emotionally, your best player is not playing. Your favorite running back in the NFL, Devin Singletary, probably is not going to play or going to be playing in a limited capacity this week. So I just think like, I think this is
favorite running back. Yours.
Oh, hey man, 7th, 8th round. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I just think this is a place where DFS side of things, man, give me Geno Smith, give me DK, give me JSN, shit, even give me Tyler Lockett as well. And obviously Ken Walker, I think like finally, like we're at Ken Walker managers are now happy that he's on the field. I even have some of my DFS lineups where I do have Ken Walker, I have DK Metcalf and Geno Smith because I think it could be one of those potential games where, you know, Geno Smith could end up throwing not a slate-breaking performance, obviously, but hey, man, if he throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns to DK and Ken Walker gets in 1 or 2 or 2 to, you know, DK and 1 to Ken Walker or something, like the opportunity is there for this to be a slate-breaking performance for Seattle Seahawks players. Not a lot of run-back options for the Giants here today. I know some people, season long, you have to play Wan'Dale Robinson. But like realistically, the only reason why Wan'Dale Robinson, it's the old Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster trick. Juju Smith-Schuster eats because Antonio Brown is on the field, and I feel like it's the same thing with Wan'Dale Robinson. So I am not overly ecstatic about playing him in season long. However, with buys and things, you don't really have too many options because he's a breathing body who potentially could catch passes. I'd say if you want to go to next prop shop, I'm actually going to impede on the prop shop one time and just say if there's a prop for a Daniel Jones interception, go ahead and take it because there's nobody to give Daniel Jones the government bailout as far as Malik Neighbors. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, man. You know what? You know what? Hold on.
You might as well. You might as well, man. You might as well.
Hold on.
Guy's gonna be running for his life back there.
Nice little special segment of yours right now, huh? Jones prop shop.
Why not? Why not?
You've got Daniel Jones throwing an interception at -22. That's on FanDuel.
Actually, before you even get going, I actually also have like another like season long bet. Like I don't even know if I even told you I did this, but like one day I was just looking, and I actually picked the Giants.
Surfing, folks, he was surfing.
Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins.
Oh, no. Not Kirk O'Shane. Oh, no.
Kirk O'Banks. I actually picked the Giants to score the least amount of points in the NFL this year. That was one of the bets I took. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would love to look that up to see like where that is actually right now because if that has any like headway,
yeah.
It's totally possible. I mean, the Jets could be doing that too, so I don't know.
Yeah, they could be.
I have no idea, but yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, in terms of this game, like it should be pretty straightforward. Seattle win this game. They should be covering. From a DFS side of things, it does scare me a little bit to rely on like the Seattle offense because they've been looking decent, but it's more about like I don't know, like Geno Smith at 5,900 is very intriguing, just because he's been a pure thrower of the football. But man, I don't know. I do like the over for some reason in this game. Wan'Dale right now 48.5 receiving yards. He made my short list, but I'm not touching it because the Giants are just a weird ass team. So I just don't like taking them, like especially with Neighbors is out. I know the ball needs to go to Wan'Dale, it needs to go to Slayton, stuff like that, but I'm not buying Daniel Jones' last performance against Dallas. That was a short week, and I think he kind of surprised them a little bit. I think Seattle's defense are just a little bit better and a little bit more healthier as well. So yeah, man, like give me Seattle the points. Give me over as well. Anything else to say about this before we move on to the other 4:00 game?
No. I want to say something so witty, but I don't have anything, man. Seahawks.
Packers going on the road to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The over-under, 48.5 for this game, which definitely surprised me a little bit. Let me just double-check to make sure that's the case. And actually, it changed. It's 49.5 now. It went 49.5. Curious as to know why that went 49.5. But Green Bay taking on the Rams. Green Bay coming in as a -3. road favorite. Over is now 49.5. Whew. Johnny, what do you say about this game?
I love me some Jordan Love. I love me some Jordan Love.
Of course you do.
I think this game right here, man. This is one of my favorite. One of my other games that I'm loving to stack from a DFS side of things. Don't have a ton of Jordan Love when I'm singing that song, but season long definitely. But like a lot of cheap plays at wide receiver for both teams. Dontavian Wicks, obviously, Tucker Kraft, obviously.
This is a game you want to target the most out of all the other games in the slate.
I think this game and the Jacksonville Indy game is probably my most targeted game. Okay. And this just gives me this game here gives me the ability to run multiple players in stacks while getting to some star players in other games. I think, there's a lot of different ways, man, I can see this game for sure. Obviously, I think, Green Bay's going to want to throw the ball, but like still waiting on that Josh Jacobs touchdown game, man. And I think this could be a good spot for it. Kyron is heavily owned. And like that's one of the players, man. If I had to say, there's a couple players that I'm like, man, like I got it wrong. And I think there's a lot of fantasy managers that got spooked when they were like, oh, Kyron Williams is returning kicks. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, he's a player that I definitely did miss out on, and he's looked really good. Even for a 1-3 Rams team, he's looked really good. I started to subscribe to the Blake Corum theory, which I don't even know if he's on half of my teams right now at this point, because obviously, like by process of elimination, we've had to get rid of him. But I do like this game a lot, man, for sure. Obviously, the Rams have been, just giving it up to all the quarterbacks. Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray had monster games against these guys for sure. And then, like I said, man, for the Rams, you got Tutu Atwell, you got Kobe Parkinson, Jordan Whittington. You have a lot of players who are cheaper pieces for sure. So, like, I really do like this game right here. From that side of things. What you got?
Aaron Jones.
Man, we need to create some kind of little alert thing. So, like, when he's like breaking news, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers has a medical tent.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You know who would make a good quarterback for the New York Jets? Russell Wilson.
Don't care. We got Tyrod.
Oh, that's right. Y'all got TV Mobile. Y'all got him. That's right. Okay. All right. Wow, man. That's no, he's back. He's back. Okay. Back. I got the game on behind me. He's back.
I don't have the game on because I don't want to.
Yeah, I can't. I can't not, like, I have to like just sneak a peek, man. But yeah, like I said, man, like I like this game, man. I think this is absolutely like another get right spot for the Packers. Obviously, man, almost coming back last week and winning that game against the Vikings. So I think like let's get the MVP train rolling again for my man Jordan Love. Let's get him out of here, man, with 3 or 4 touchdowns and maybe 280, 300. So I'll take the over on this game for sure, because I still think the Rams can still put up points, and I think the Packers can and will put up at least a minimum of 30. So it'll be close on the over-under, but I think I'm going to take the over. If I was going to alt line it or anything, I might alt it down to maybe 45 or 46. But there's definitely going to be some points in this game for sure.
Makes sense. I'm on Jordan Love as well. He makes the prop shop over 256 half pass yards. Took it a little bit earlier, like a couple days ago. I just think that if we got a Jordan Love that, did some decent work when it came to, I wouldn't even say garbage time, because they were kind of in the game later.
Yeah.
Minnesota last week. Like, we got to expect Jordan Love to come out and ball out again, right? Like, he had 386 yards first game off hit the injury. So, like, look, like, I think that's surely easy to do, like, in terms of pass yards again, in a matchup where, the Rams have looked awful, both from pass and rush yard statistics. Like, for defense, they've been really bad. Also, like Jacobs, he didn't make the list, but I do expect him to do good work again this week. I believe if I'm going off the dome, I'm gonna check it. I think Josh Jacobs right now is 64.5 rush yards, so I would definitely take that. that's the case. I'm gonna double check now to make sure that's the case on FanDuel Sportsbook. 65.5, very close.
Yeah, I would take that. I would take that.
So
Yeah, dude, I'd take that all day long.
In a game where you think that the Packers are going to be up in the game, like I expect Josh Jacobs to at least be, having a better day on the ground. I think they want to get him started early as well. So if anything, I think I saw his rush attempts at 12.5 as well. So I'd definitely take that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Wicks, I like as well in this game, 50.5. Look, I think that there's some people that are kind of might be blowing this as because, Wicks was dropping the ball and this, then, the third. It's like, but he still scored 2 touchdowns last week.
Right.
So I'm going back to the well on this. Now no Romeo Dobbs. So that changes things from a, usage perspective for receivers. Obviously, Watson, he's not, he didn't, I don't think he went on the IR yet, did he? Did your boy Watson go on the IR?
No, I don't think
I don't think he did. But either way, the line's still a little too light. For me, now I see him at 56.5. I already took Wicks at 50.5, but now I see his line at 56.5, and I still like it. Reed is at 71.5. I think that's still viable for sure. But if we're talking about the other pieces in the game, I definitely like potentially all those as well. They just don't make the prop shot for me because there still could be a lot of weirdness that goes on with the Rams. I just don't know what's happening with this team.
Dude, Tre'Davious they get cooked out there. That's what's been happening.
Yeah. I mean, you got the 1-year deal. You know what I'm saying?
Bad day, man.
He's beginning his smack baby oil. But
boy. Oh man, I can't help myself.
Oh Lord. But yeah, those would be the guys that I'm betting on. I like Jaden Reed as well. I just think I'm not sure about the slot. Packers have been pretty good against the slot, but if anything, I like Wicks, I like Love, I like Jacobs. He didn't make the list either, but he made the short list. But that's where I got in terms of those guys. I like the Packers on the road, saving the points. McClure has been a great coach. He's Malik Willis. He made something out of Malik Willis. So that was enough for me. To give
Go Melton too. Don't forget about it. Give me some cheapies.
I guess.
Give me some cheapies. DFS world. They should call DFS dirty football. That's what they should call it because you got to get in the dirt sometimes.
Dirty what?
Dirty football. Sometimes you got to get in the dirt to get some of these guys like this. So I got a few of Bo out there.
We got another question. So good life lessons. Oh, seeing him. Or I don't know if it's him or her. See him on the TBQ football show every once in a while. Got a question in regards to Keelan Allen. I'm assuming it's Keelan Allen.
Yeah.
Wandale Robinson. Wick. Assuming Wicks. Full PPR. John Wick. I don't know if he's going to come out and play football today, but full point PPR between those three. I'm gonna let you start, Johnny. What do you think? You got to start with.
Well, I already told you why I didn't like Wandale Robinson earlier,
and
I already didn't like DJ Moore. So by process of elimination,
we're talking about Keelan Allen, not DJ Moore.
Right, but that's the same thing, man. It's not, so yeah. Give me Wick, give me Wick, give me Wick, give me Wick, man. I just think it's one of those things where I think obviously Jordan Love, another week removed from the injury, and the relationship, and man, sometimes I haven't even used my quote yet once this show, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. Bring back preseason football. Seeing what Dontavian Wicks did, obviously in the preseason, man, and even seeing what he did last year when he had the opportunity, not a lot has changed. If anything has changed, man, it's more likely than not he's become a better receiver. He has a better chemistry with Jordan Love, a better understanding. It's a prime matchup for him. It's an opportunity. I don't want to say for him to be showcased because Jaden Reed is still there, but as a wide receiver for him to still be showcased as the primary receiver. So give me all the Wicks, man. I can handle in this situation. And I feel like the other, I will give some plugs for the other two. Wandale, he may get peppered with targets. I just don't know if he's going to find the end zone. So I think he could potentially hit double digits for you. And then with Keenan Allen, if I had to rank them, Wick, Keenan Allen, Wandale, I will always respect Keenan Allen and what he's able to do from a route running perspective. And Keenan Allen, in any week, could absolutely go nuclear. But if I had to rank him, I would go Wicks, Allen, and then Wandale.
Yeah, the same order. They all have cases. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. This is not as so easy to pick one per se. You're just hoping that you start Wicks, he starts out hot, and because if the Packers go into the mode where they lock the game up already, like, all right, cool. With Wandale, it's like he's gonna get garbage time potentially, and where we expect Seattle to come out and bust the Giants in the mouth. Like, in terms of Keenan Allen, like, he's just in one of those weird spots where it's like we could see him get some production, but if we expect the over to happen, like, I do like Keenan Allen as well. So this is a little bit more harder than it is based on just like how production has gone. I would say Wicks because he does have that opportunity to produce without Watson, without Dobbs now. Wicks could probably be playing a ton of more like snaps already than he already was. Like, he was already playing a decent amount of routes already when he stepped in the game when they were down. But now it's like, all right, now we're talking about Wicks getting up to like 90% of like route participation, and target share is up because he's the second receiver now. So I think a lot is to like about Wicks for sure. Moving on to the Sunday Night Football game, and then we have the Monday Night Football game. We'll talk about your boys quickly, Steelers. Dallas Cowboys, Steelers. When's the last time they played each other? Like 4 years ago, something like that? 5 years ago?
Yeah. I feel like they may have been in Dallas. No, they weren't in Dallas. They were actually at Heinz. They were at Heinz, and Zeke actually cooked them, actually, man. Yeah. He had a pretty big game, man. So he
it was before COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, before COVID. Yeah.
I think it was like sure. 2018, 2019. It's been a long time since he's
it's been a while.
But Dallas coming as the underdog plus 2.5 into Pittsburgh. The line was initially like a pick 'em, and now it's steered towards Pittsburgh being at home. The over under 43.5. Yeah, I like the Steelers in this matchup. The only reason why is because Dallas, like, they just for whatever reason, they're just not great. It doesn't help. It doesn't help when you lose Parsons. He's not playing this game. It doesn't help when you lose, Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence, not playing this game. So yeah, that's gonna hurt, especially in a matchup where you need to stop the run constantly. And these guys aren't there as either premier pass rushers or even decent run stuffers. Like, that's a lot to ask for Dallas being on the road. Obviously we got CeeDee Lamb on the Dallas side who, has potential. But Pittsburgh, man, like, you boys have really locked up defensively outside the loss to the Colts, where, again, kind of tough to come back from a 14, deficit, whatever, 17 at one point, to come back offensively sometimes. But I think Pittsburgh gets back on track this week. I expect a big game for Najee Harris again, 60.5 rush yards for the over here for me. No Patterson and no Jalen Warren, as far as I know. I think it was last time I checked, he was questionable on the side that he wasn't going to play.
Who was
what
that?
do you say about that Jalen Warren? So
he's not playing. Yeah, he's not. He's probably it's not official, but he's more likely than not he's not going to play.
Right. So I like Najee Harris. I mean, Fields' line for rush yards is pretty decent as well. I think it was 47.5 last time I checked. So don't need Fields as well to run against Dallas. So again, like, I just question how they'll stay. Not just stay in the game, but I wonder how they'll stop Pittsburgh's rush game and really stop them from, doing what they want to do from a game plan perspective. Pittsburgh defense obviously looking swell as well. So what do you say, Johnny, about this game overall? Do you have anything nice to say about Dallas?
Yeah, I do have something nice to say about them. I think
that should be interesting.
Obviously as a Steelers fan, like, there's a couple of things that do worry me. And when I say this, it's offensively, is that typically Pittsburgh, even in their best moments, have always had issues with coverage. I don't think that's necessarily the case now, the way this team is designed. I do think Dak Prescott could get hot. That's always a concern for any game when you play against the Dallas Cowboys. But the thing that's really going to be interesting to see, and I think all Steelers fans would probably agree with me when I say this, is like I think tonight we're really going to get the opportunity to see how we've improved in the middle of the field, because CD is going to be in the slot a lot. Obviously, you got Ferguson from a pass catching perspective. On the outside, like, we're good. It's really been over the middle has really been a pain point for us and a bugaboo for us, since the Troy Polamalu, Ryan Shazier time. So I think the Cowboys, if they want to stay in this game, that's what they're going to have to do, is they're going to have to work the middle of the field. There's no reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers should get gashed tonight in the run game, because Dallas has been lackluster, to say the least, in the run game. Offensively, the Steelers are struggling with offensive line issues as far as health goes. Fontenot is out. James Daniel tore an ACL. So all of a sudden now, something that like we tried to rectify through the draft and everything, and now it's starting to rear its ugly head. And I'm like, oh my God, no, stop, no. So and then like you talked about Justin Fields. I don't. This shouldn't be a situation where we should be down and have to throw the ball. However, if it is, I think from a fantasy perspective, you've seen what Justin Fields can bring to your team, right? And then they've been lackluster in the run game as well. Najee typically doesn't get it going until the second half of the year. So, like, I don't expect it to be like, this nuclear bombshell in the run game for them, even though Dallas is hurting defensively. George Pickens, I think this is another great spot for him as well. I think, that Dallas has got some injuries in the secondary, some matchup concerns as well. So I think this is another opportunity if you have George Pickens, obviously to play him and expect, a relatively solid game from him. But overall, man, I just think like right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are a healthier team. I think they're in a better place. And then for whatever it's worth, man, I'll throw my last caveat out there, man. Mike McCarthy has typically done a pretty good job when going against Mike Tomlin and a Mike Tomlin-led team as far as close games. And I think like he's one of those coaches that understands how to attack Mike Tomlin and how to attack the scheme that the Steelers run, which really hasn't changed too much. I'm taking the Steelers, obviously, but I'm not like as gung-ho as everyone else is that like, this is an open and shut case. I think it'll be a lot more intriguing than what people think. And I think the only reason why that'll be is just from the Dallas Cowboys and the offensive side of the ball throwing it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, look, I like the over in this game. I think Dallas is going to be one of those teams that, even though they defensively don't seem like the team that can stop the run with Pittsburgh, all it takes is a turnover early on. All it takes, like we saw last week with the Colts, like all it takes is a turnover or an easy score for Dallas to stay in this game. So I do like the over because their offense is still a passing attack we want to target in general. I think they'll have to do that against Pittsburgh because, again, like I don't see Rico Dowell or Zeke Elliott or Vaughn, whoever they want to throw out there. I don't expect any of those guys to go in terms of like really running the football enough. I think they'll have to do it through the air. They'll have to do out Brandon Cooks. He's out with the knee infection now. He had to do a minor surgery for, so he's out at least. I think they put him on the IR.
They put him on IR, yeah, they do.
So now we're talking about Jalen Tolbert stepping in as a wide receiver too. Like I think they'll have to do that. Like in terms of the passing. So yeah, give me Steelers. Give me the points. Give me the over.
I'm taking the under. But I'll take the Steelers with the points. I would love for the Steelers to be in a game where there were more than 43 points and then win. But like, I just, I don't know, man. Like, I can't see it. So I'd love for it to be the case, man.
We have the Monday Night Football matchup before we wrap up here. Saints getting plus 5.5 on the road going to Kansas City, taking on the defending champs.
I see that. I see what you did there.
Yeah, man. Like the Chiefs have so many problems that we are overreacting on, but they are still undefeated. They're still at home taking on a Saints team that a couple weeks ago we were like, maybe they are a decent team, and now it's like, all right, like, let's pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Losing a game to the Eagles at home week 3, and then losing a game again, just the Saints losing a close one against the Falcons, where the Falcons came down the field late on them and then took over. But yeah, what I'm expecting from this game is a couple question marks. Obviously, for both season long and for from a team perspective, who is going to be the receiver that steps up for Rashee Rice? He's not on the IR. Well, he's technically on the IR. They're finding out if he needs to get what kind of surgery, potentially, if he doesn't need to get any surgery. Hopefully, he doesn't need surgery. Please, God. I've been a good boy. I've been a good boy. In terms of injuries. So, Travis Kelce, we obviously know, he started looking really Travis Kelce-like to the last game against the Chargers. So we expect that funnel to still be there for, Mahomes and Kelce going. And then whoever stops out for the Kansas City receivers. Saints defense has been looking pretty decent in terms against receivers in general and against tight ends. So I just expect the Chiefs to – I don't know if I like the 5.5 for the Saints enough to warrant them, to take them. I'm just going to take the Chiefs. This game could easily go over, but I'm not sure. I think the Saints are going to be playing their backup center in this game, and they've been struggling against pressure up the middle. And Chris Jones plays in the middle.
Boy, does he ever.
Yeah, man. Boy. So I don't know, how. I think the Chiefs' defense is obviously not more of the backbone now. It has been, at least for the last year and a half, for this team. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to play the under, but 43.5 is – you can lean one way or another. Primetime game. These teams don't play each other, enough, per se. I'll take the over and I'll take the Chiefs. The spread is – I don't know if I trust the spread because the Chiefs haven't been playing enough to feel comfortable about taking them the spreads, but you take them good enough to win the game. So, what do you think?
So the Saints are one of the top 10 worst defenses in the NFL at giving up points against wide receivers. So maybe this is a Patrick Mahomes get right game, and what a great opportunity for Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy, who now all of a sudden looks like, one of another steal of the draft that some of us just didn't touch. And I think you already kind of hit the nail on the head, man, as far as the Chiefs, right? Now we're going to have to revert to playing football the way that they did last year. Obviously, and it wasn't sexy. It wasn't sexy. And they don't have that strength in the run game with Pacheco now. So you got Carl Edwards-Helaire on his way back, and then you got that mess that they got in the backfield. You got that mess that they got out there at wide receiver. And you know what this is kind of starting to remind me of? And
last year.
Other than last year, this is really starting to remind me of Tom Brady and the Patriots whenever pieces just started flying away and you're still really great at one position and there's a great thing going. I don't I'm going to go on a quick little tangent, but if the health continues to go this way for the Chiefs, obviously, I don't know if they can repeat, man. They're still a great football team for sure. Defensively, man, that's where they're hanging their hat at. You never want to have to go against Patrick Mahomes in a 2-minute situation, when he's down. You just don't want that. But they're starting to look more and more beatable as each week passes. And granted, it's week 5. But they probably will beat the Saints. Like, let's be real. Like, they'll probably beat the Saints because right now the Chiefs, they haven't allowed anybody to get over 50 yards rushing right now. So, like, they're going to stop the run. So, like, how the Saints utilize Alvin Kamara. So, what they do with Alvin Kamara, Rashid Shaheed, and Chris Olave in that group, it's going to be really interesting. But even from that perspective, right, the Chiefs have done a really great job in the passing game as well. Derek Carr with a little bit of familiarity, if we all kind of remember, playing against the Chiefs. So I think, that's kind of something to draw from if we're looking at it from that perspective, just a little bit of familiarity. But I would probably take the under in this game for sure. And I don't know, man. I just have a sneaky suspicion that, like, the Saints may just hang around this game. I don't think they're going to win it, but like the 5.5, basically 6, I would be okay with taking the Saints in 6, man, because I think they can hang around, man.
I don't mind taking. I just a weird number, 5.5.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I would rather it be a 7 at this point. But Vegas knows something we don't, clearly.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
Yeah.
In terms of any locks of the slate for you, so yeah, any locks of the slate for you, Johnny, that we could tell the people what you got?
Yeah. I'll say locks. There are multiple players that I like in multiple positions. I've kind of highlighted the games. Yep. Like I said, I like that Indy Jacksonville game. I like going either Flacco or Trevor Lawrence. I'm not afraid of the rain if we're talking about from a DFS perspective. Can't tell you how many times weather has driven people away from ownership and gives you some leverage. So I think like all the players in that game are up for me. I'm a big fan of DK Metcalf and Ken Walker this week as well. All the Seahawks players, I'm a big fan of those guys. Talked about the Packers and the Rams game, cheap pieces to play there all over the field as far as wide receivers go. Those are really my locks of the slate, if you will, or just looking at those games and getting players from those games to stack up in my DFS lineup.
Okay, I like that. I think from my side of things, like you're taking a Lamar or a Josh Allen, pretty much, and you're building around that. From a leverage perspective, like I do like Burrow at 6,400 for DFS lineups. I also like, if you're gonna go nasty and if you like the game, like we like Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Flacco's not a bad option either at 5,500.
No,
save some salary. No. Running backs. Derrick Henry, you're trying to get all the money to stack them in to a lineup. But honestly, 7,400 for Mason, for DK. I love Walker. I love at 6,800. I love him for the prop over 70 rushing yards as well. I like Chuba Hubbard at 6,100 if you want to save. If you're feeling a little dirty, Chase Brown at 5,600. Like, makes a ton of sense for value on a slate where there's a lot of good receivers. And from a overall construction perspective, and then there's running backs where we kind of like at the top, and there's not too much value, unless you're going to go really cheap at tight end. Receivers I got for locks are Pittman, Wicks, and Debo. Debo is a guy that I don't think is going to be talked about enough, and he came back looking back from that calf injury looking like a spry young man. And I think they still want to use him in some of the CMC role. God bless you. They still want to use him in some of that CMC running back role, hybrid role. So that's also going to be helpful in a game where they should be up, but also opportunities for, again, a team implied total of 28. So, again, I do like Pittman as well. Pittman is getting a great matchup as well here. So I like that. I also like Cooper. It was just more like, I think from a leverage perspective, I think people are going to be on Cooper a lot. So I think from Pittman, I think you could still be on him with not so much ton of ownership at this moment in time. And then for defenses, I like the Browns at 2,700. I like Denver at 2,900, both on DraftKings. Browns, I know they're playing Washington. I know Washington's been playing stellar all year. But I think they'll have an opportunity to at least get a few sacks in that game at the price tag. And there's not too many value defenses per se. I like Denver, obviously, as well. We talked about that. Low scoring, over-under game. They're a favorite at home if you want to go that direction. So those are what I like for overall players and the slate and just talking about it a lot. To review the prop shop, we're 18 and 16 on the year, so we're close to a little over 50% right now. It's not very stellar. I don't like it. It's going to change. I promise you that. But I want to review prop shops for the week. So we got Jordan Love, 256 passing, over 256.5 passing. We have Hubbard, 62.5 rush yards. We have Kurt, over 4.5 catches. We have Brian Thomas in that same game, over 55.5 yards receiving. We also have Pittman, over 60.5 receiving yards. I think you guys are going where we're going. We're kind of putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to that Indianapolis-Jacksonville game. T. Higgins, over 52.5 receiving yards. We got
Love him today, too.
Sure do. We have Wicks, over 50.5 receiving yards. Talked about that earlier. K9, Kenneth Walker, over 70.5 yards. Makes too much sense because of the game script and how it should definitely go. So K9 should easily hit that over. Brock Bowers, over 44.5 receiving yards. Reasoning behind it is that, Raiders going to have to throw the football. There's no Devontae Adams. Myers should be getting locked up. Should be easy to get over that. Diggs, revenge spot, over 4.5 receiving yards and over the 54.5 receiving yards, 4.5 catches. Just because there's a revenge spot for sure at a game where it's a high over-under. Both teams should definitely be going back and forth. Obviously, should be said, but I mentioned anyway, the King Henry, over 85.5 rush yards. Bengals, again, we talked about bottom 7 when it comes to rush yards allowed. They are just allowing a ton of rush yards. And King Henry, I like for anytime touchdown as well, of course. I'm sure it's going to be definitely juiced. So potentially look for that as like a slither in your bankroll for the first touchdown scored versus like anytime if you want to get the value. Couple more. Then talk about Trey McBride, but if we expect Arizona to be behind, he should easily hit the 41.5 receiving yards over. And then we got Daniels, over 200 pass yards. And then we have Judy, over 44.5 receiving yards. Oh, we didn't talk about Amari Cooper, over 55.5 receiving yards. Again, a matchup where we think Cleveland Washington could be a little sneaky in terms of how this over-under can go. And their over-under, again, was 43.5. So I definitely expect the over. And I do like some of those props in that game. Any final thoughts before we got to do what we got to do, Johnny?
One thing we didn't even talk about, and we can talk about it on Tuesday, but why did Chad Ochocinco sign up his life to fight James Harrison in an MMA fight?
I thought that was unofficial. I didn't think that was official yet.
If that is a thing, I'm paying for it all. I'm there for it all. Final thoughts. First quarter of the season over with now. Man, we're getting into the second quarter. So, for some people taking victory laps, for some of the players, first, that they had, earlier on, it's a marathon. Shout out my man Fizzle. It's a marathon, so we're on lap 2. So hey man, the moral of the story and the goal is to try to win the second quarter of your season here over the next 3 to 4 weeks. But for me, man, I'm just looking forward to some good football. I'm looking forward to 2 AFC North teams punching themselves in the face. And I'm also looking forward to seeing potentially Trevor Lawrence, man, get his first win, or either Doug Peterson getting fired. That's what I'm here for.
I love it. Oh man, I kind of love what you just said there. Because if they go 0-5, man,
it's over. It's over.
I'm not gonna say it's over, but it looks like it. Let's just say it'll be trending that way.
Do they bring it? No, it's just I was gonna go really crazy and be like, do they bring in Bill Belichick?
Let's not go there just yet. It's possible.
All right, I'm sorry. Okay, I will stop.
Let's not go there just yet.
I will stop.
It's in the cards potentially, but probably not. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. The next show we got Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We got the waiver wire. We got some trade advice for you. Recapping everything that happened from week 5 going into week 6. We'll give you guys all the breakdown on that. So please tune in there. If you're not following us on Twitter, please do so on the tags below. Until then, we will see you guys in the next show. Enjoy your football. Win some money today. We'll see you guys on Tuesday night. Peace!